Hey everyone, this is Mike. Today is going to be a relatively quick video on how I learn new jobs and also the ways that I like to practice them using the different tools that are available in the game and outside of the game as well. Now, when it comes down to playing Final Fantasy XIV, you have a very wide variety of jobs available to you. It's very easy to switch in between all of the different jobs because a lot of jobs also share their gear. So it is very much encouraged that you play multiple jobs as well. And someone like me that likes my variety going into Savage because you farm it for so long, having some variety in there whilst you're farming can be a lot of fun, but of course Savage is still pretty demanding endgame content, so I don't want to be a burden to my party and not know how to play my job. So today I'm pretty much going to go over the kind of like step list, I guess you could say, of what I do when I go about learning a new job. So first of all, what I do, of course, reading all of my tooltips is very important, but what I like to do once I know a general idea of what my job does is I go to the Balance Discord. This is a Discord server where you have all of the math guys, the theory wizards, all of that kind of good stuff, all bunched together in one Discord where they will always update a best in slot list whenever new gear comes out, or for example with the recent Astrologian changes they updated the biz set for that as well. They'll have new openers for you whenever something changes, like for example normal job guides as well, where they go over what every skill does, how the rotation is supposed to flow, all of that good stuff, pretty much all of the information that you need in one place. If you don't really like to read all that much, I made some rotational guides as well for all of the jobs except healers, because healers don't really have a rotation that they follow because they're so free flow, and depending on what healing is necessary things will change on a fight by fight basis. But for all the other jobs there is a general rotation that you can follow, which I'll leave a link to that playlist down in the description below if you're interested in checking that one out. If not, then of course you can always just go to the Balance, read everything that you need there in text form, and that will also help you out quite a bit. Now, when it comes down to learning a new job, of course, knowing what your abilities do is the first thing that you need to know. Going from there, it is all about learning the opener, because the opener is something that will set you up for the rest of the fight. So I do put a lot of emphasis on learning an opener first before you go into the rest of the rotation, as depending on what opener you use, your rotation might vary slightly as well depending on what job you play, because of course some jobs are much more strict than others. And then of course once you've learned the opener, just go and hit a striking dummy for like 5, 6, usually 7 minutes. That's really the point that I think is the best time to hit a dummy, 7 minutes, which I'll explain in just a minute why as well. And then from there, just go into an easy fight, play that there first, and then go into Savage. So when it comes down to learning the opener, after you've of course gone to the Balance or looked at one of my rotation guides, you know what you're supposed to be doing. It's all about putting it into practice, and the best place in the game to practice an opener is 100% Stone Sky Sea. Now, this is an NPC that you can find right outside of Yulmore. There's also older ones for Stormblood, Heavensward. I'm not quite sure about Realm Reborn, but anyways, those don't really matter all that much, as level 80 is our current endgame content. So you go to Yulmore, you head outside, there is this NPC waiting for you, and basically what Stone Sky Sea is it is a time trial to try and beat a specific DPS check on a striking dummy. Normally what a lot of people do in this content is they go in there to see if they themselves meet the DPS requirement for a specific encounter in the game. You can see, for example, I want to do Shiva Savage, you go to Stone Sky Sea, you select Shiva Savage, and then you go in there. If you can beat the DPS check of that striking dummy, you know that you have the DPS check to do Shiva. Of course, a striking dummy and an actual boss fight that has a bunch of mechanics, still very different world, but still it is something there to at least gauge how good you can DPS and see if you have enough to beat the DPS check of the actual boss itself, given you can of course perform on your job in the fight itself as well. Now, the main reason why I think Stone Sky Sea is so good is because you can go in there really easily to practice your opener, because every time that you exit and go back in, all of your cooldowns will be reset. So if you're playing a job that has a very long cooldown that you use in your opener, say for example Ninja has 2 minutes with Tenchi Jin, Wildfire of Machinist, like for example Battle Litany on Dragoon, it's just an easy one button press, but still it is something regardless that you will be pressing in your opener every single time. And basically whenever you go into Stone Sky Sea, you just hit the dummy for 30 seconds to do your opener, you go out, you queue back in, and all of your cooldowns will be back, so that you can repeat that opener until it becomes muscle memory and you know what you are doing now with your opener. Once you've done that, of course, I don't think 3 minutes is enough to practice an actual rotation because of how a lot of jobs work. 6 minutes, 7 minutes in my opinion is definitely the best way to go about it. So that is where you want to go to another striking dummy, like an actual striking dummy that you can hit for as long as you want to. For example, in Colusia themselves, near the very first 8, right? There's going to be a few striking dummies for you there. But for example, if you have a house, or if your FC has a house, they usually have a striking dummy around there as well. It's something that I always like to have near my house. So you can go there and practice for as long as you want. Now, the main reason why I say practice for 7 minutes on one end before you take a break, let your cooldowns reset and then go again, is because at 6 minutes in the fight, that is where most jobs are going to be having their reopener, or well, technically that is where all jobs are going to be having their reopener, because a lot of jobs are either on a 1 minute, a 90-second, or a 2 minute, or a 3 minute burst window, or at least with the raid buffs, how they line up like that. So at the 6 minute mark, that is basically where all of these timers will be coming together again, and where you will have your reopener with potions and that kind of stuff, if you want to be using potions, of course, to boost your DPS. So that is why I always say try to hit a dummy for 7 minutes, then let your cooldowns reset and then go again, because then you know what your full rotation of the job is going to be looking like. Once you've done that enough, once you know your opener, once you've gotten kind of used to how your rotation is supposed to look like on a dummy, go into an easy fight. Like for example, Innocence is one of the fights that I like to use quite a bit in the past, but there's definitely a few other extreme primals that definitely are not all that bad to do. And then you can just go in there, take a fight that you're comfortable on, that you know the mechanics of, so you don't really need to focus too much on the mechanics themselves, and that you can focus on the job that you are playing instead. Go in there, get a little bit more comfortable with playing the job in an actual fight where you are going to be dodging mechanics and all of that stuff. And then once you're getting used to that, of course, you can go straight into Savage and have some fun over there. So those are pretty much the steps that I go through whenever I learn a new job. I go to the balance to learn everything that I need, from openers to rotation. Then I go to Stone Sky Sea to practice my opener. I go train on a striking dummy for about 7 minutes at a time to see what my rotation feels like. I go into an easier fight to get used to playing the job in an actual fight, and then I go into stuff like Savage or Ultimate. If you have any more tips yourself that you used when you were learning your job or a new job, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. I always love reading them, and we're all about helping people out here as well, of course, because this is a learning video, and being able to help each other out is always a nice thing to see, of course. But that's gonna be it for me. I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank my Patreons for supporting me, and I'll see you in the next one.